All right, people, good morning, good evening, whatever is applicable to you. We are going to start with a new chapter on mathematics, the straight lines. In many boards, for example, in CBSE, it is in the 11th standard, whereas in many of the state boards, it is in the 12th standard. Okay, so a lot of concepts in straight line basically are from the 10th standard itself, and we will go ahead and prove some theorems, have a clarity on it, and at the end of the chapter we will try and solve some problems which have come in previous years engineering examinations of IIT and all others. So let's start, and please feel free to post your questions in the comment section if you have any. I will take out time to answer them. I know it's been a long time that we have actually come up with a video, but I will ensure that henceforth we are a little regular on publishing our videos. So let's start with it. Now, what do we actually mean by straight lines in mathematics? Straight lines, as the name itself suggests, it means a line. A straight line is a curve that every point on the line segment joining any 2 points on it lies on it. Okay, so a straight line basically is a curve. See, a curve doesn't always necessarily mean like this. Okay, a curve basically is also justifying a straight line. Whatever can be plotted in the x, y or z axis is basically a curve. Okay, so it doesn't always mean that a curve has to be in a parabolic form or maybe in a projectile form. Anything which is feasible to be plotted in the xy plane is known as a curve. So what are we saying here? A straight line is basically a curve such that every point on the line segment joining any 2 points lies on it, which means, see, if I plot a curve like this, if I have a point P and if I have a point Q, so it is not lying on the curve. Okay, so this is basically at a different point and this is a different point. But if P or Q are on a straight line is a curve such that every point in the line segment joining any 2 points lies on it. So all these points lie on it. Okay, so prove that every first degree equation in xy represents a straight line. So that's basically a theorem. So let's say we have a first degree equation, ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. This is basically a first degree equation. A first degree equation means an equation which is not quadratic, or which has just the powers of the variables as 1. So this is basically a first degree equation of a straight line, a line which can be plotted along the xy axis. Okay, so now we have ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. Okay, so let's say we have every point in the first degree represents a straight line. So let's say we have 2 points here. One is represented by this, and let's say we have and ax2 plus by2 plus c2 is equal to 0. So let's say we have a line. This is basically the equation of the line, and there are points, let's say x1 y1 and x2 y2 which lie on the line, and let's say the point R, let's say there is a point R, so there are points, let's say P, and let's say this is point Q. Okay, so point P is represented by x1 y1, point Q is represented by x2 y2 which lie on a line, and let's say the point R divides it in the ratio of lambda is to 1. Let's say the point R divides it in the ratio of lambda is to 1. Now we all know, if we have to find out the coordinates of point P, so let's say point R is xy, so x will be equal to mx2 plus nx1 upon m plus n. So this means mx2 means, let's say lambda into x2 plus 1 into x1 upon lambda plus 1. In a similar way, y will be equal to my2, something that we have already studied, my2 plus ny1 upon m plus n. So that will be lambda y2 plus 1 into y1 upon lambda plus 1. Okay, so let's rub a little of it. I am missing my duster. Okay. You can take a snapshot of the same. Okay, so what do we have here? X and y. So now let's say, now A and B and C, see A, B and C are basically constants. A, B and C are basically, all these are basically constants. Okay. So now let's say A into lambda x2 plus x1 upon lambda plus 1 plus B into lambda y2 plus y1 upon lambda plus 1. Okay. If we happen to add these two, and let's say we are adding C as well. Okay. So let's say if we add these two, what do we get? This will be A lambda x2 plus A x1 plus B lambda y2 plus B y1, both lambda plus 1, and C into lambda plus 1, that will be C lambda plus 1. So this is going to be how much? A lambda x2 B lambda y2. Okay. So we have here lambda A x2 plus B y2, okay, plus let's say we have C lambda as well. So we have taken all the lambdas as common, and then we have A x1 plus B y1 plus we are left with C into lambda plus 1. So this will be C. Okay. So this will be upon lambda plus 1. Now we all know that A x2, obviously since this is the equation of the line, so since this is the equation of the line, it will satisfy and fulfill the condition of A x2 plus B y2 plus C is equal to 0. Also it will fulfill the condition of A x1 plus B y1 plus C is equal to 0. Both these conditions will be fulfilled because P and Q are points on this same line. So all the coordinates of x and y will fulfill the condition of this equation. So we have here Ax2 plus By2 plus C is equal to 0, and Ax1 plus By1 plus C is equal to 0. So what do we have here? So obviously this entire thing, if you look into it, this entire thing is 0. Okay. So we have here lambda into 0 plus this entire thing is 0 plus 0 upon lambda plus 1. So this will be basically equal to 0. This is equal to 0. So basically this equation also fulfills the condition of this equation. So we can say therefore R, which has coordinates lambda x2 plus x1 upon lambda plus 1 and y coordinates are lambda y2 plus y1 upon lambda plus 1, this R lies on PQ. This R lies on PQ. So that's what it is. Prove that every first degree equation in x y represents a straight line. So this will also represent a straight line. So this, see, what we have taken is, we have already taken a straight line which has this kind of an equation. We have taken any two arbitrary points which have x1 and x2 and y1 and y2, and we have proved that if we have another equation which is similar to this equation, then this will be also the equation of a straight line. It will lie on the straight line. So when we say that the first degree equation in xy represents a line, it means that all points in the xy satisfying ax plus by plus c is equal to 0 lie along a line. All these points will basically lie along a line. This line is also defined as the locus of a point satisfying the coordinates ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. So locus means what? Locus means basically location. Okay. So the line is also defined as a locus of a point. This will cater to a point satisfying the condition ax plus by plus c is equal to 0, where a, b and c are their definite constants. Okay. I hope this clarifies the point of a line. We will proceed ahead with more concepts. You can in the meantime take a snapshot of the same. Okay, so we will proceed ahead with lines. Now When we talk about a slope or a gradient of a line, what do we actually mean? It's a very familiar term that is associated with the lines, and you must have studied about this term in previous classes as well. Slope basically means the inclination of a line with what? With the positive direction of the x axis. So, we will always take the standard as positive direction of x axis, no matter where the line is going through, where the line is passing through, where it is intersecting, where it is ending or where it is starting from, it is immaterial. What matters for the slope of the line is the inclination, or rather the tan of the inclination of the angle that it makes with the positive direction of x axis. So, if we define it, slope or gradient of a line is basically the trigonometrical tangent, which means that we need to calculate the tangent of the line. Tangent means the tan value of that angle, of the angle that the line makes with the positive direction of the x axis. It will always be positive direction of the x axis. This is something that we have to remember, okay, because we cannot take any direction, because for every measurement there has to be a standard taken, and this is the standard that has been taken for measurement of slopes of line. So, slope of a line is always the positive direction of the x axis in anti-clockwise sense, which means that we have to make it anti-clockwise, okay. We cannot have it clockwise, it has to be anti-clockwise, okay, is called the slope or gradient of the line. So, what is basically slope? Slope is nothing but m is equal to tan theta. The angle of inclination, the angle of inclination of a line, the angle of inclination of a line with positive direction of the x axis in anti-clockwise sense always lies between 0 and 180 degree. See, the angle of inclination will always be between 0 and 180 degree. It can be negative, positive, whatever. For example, let's say this is basically the x axis, this is the minus 1, this is the plus part of y axis, and this is the minus part of y axis. And let's say we have a line coming like this, it's a straight line basically. So, the angle that this makes with the positive direction of x axis. Now, you will say that it is not passing here, but imagine we are not taking the angle which it is making with the negative direction. No, this angle does not need to be taken. This is the angle that we need to take, okay. So, this is the angle theta that we need to refer to, and what will be the slope of this line? M will be equal to tan of this theta, okay. Let's say we have another line which is passing like this, okay. So, this is very much self-explanatory. So, this is positive x, this is minus x, this is positive y, and this is negative y. So, obviously, this theta that the angle makes, okay. So, m will again be equal to tan theta, very much self-explanatory, okay. So, now let us say if the line is not passing like this, or rather the line is basically passing like this, okay. So, let us say this is the positive part, minus y, this is minus x, and this is x, and what do we need to refer to? We need to refer to the angle that the line makes with the positive direction of x axis, okay. So, here m will again be equal to tan theta, okay. So, let us take a couple of examples from NCERT itself, okay. So, we are supposed to calculate, let us say there is an angle of 150 degree that a line makes with the positive direction of x axis. So, what will be the slope of this line? Obviously, m is equal to tan 150, and tan 150 we can calculate it in many ways. So, tan 180 minus 30, we know tan 180 minus 30 is tan 180 minus 30 is tan theta. So, tan 30, but since it is in the second quadrant, it will be negative. So, this will be minus tan 30. The value of minus tan 30 is 1 by root 3. So, slope of the line will be negative, that is minus 1 by root 3. So, slope can be negative, slope can be positive as well, okay. So, let us say if we have, let us say an angle of 0 degree with the x axis, an angle of 0 degree with the x axis. So, what will happen? Here the slope will be equal to tan of 0. So, that will be the slope of the line is basically 0, okay. The slope of the line is 0. So, we have different things. If the angle with the x axis, positive direction of x axis is 90 degree, which is basically the y axis, okay. So, what will be the slope here? M tan 90, and that will be infinity. The slope here will be infinity, Are we clear on this one, people? Pretty much easy concepts, some things which we have already learned in earlier standards, but since we are starting off I'm sorry, with straight lines, we need to be having a clear idea about all these things. Okay, so you can take a snapshot of the same. We will proceed ahead with the next slide here. Okay, so we will continue with the straight lines part once again. Okay, so now we have seen what is basically the slope of a line. The slope of a line is the angle of, or rather the tan of the angle of inclination of the line with the positive direction of x axis. So now let's say, and we have already seen that the slope of a line will always be between 0 to 180 degrees. Okay, so there are two possibilities out here. Either the slope will be between 0 to 90, or there will be between 90 to 180. The third possibility is that it is basically the same x axis. It is basically perpendicular to the x axis. Okay, so let's consider when the case when the slope is positive. The slope is positive, which means if the slope is positive, what does it mean? If the slope is positive, then m is equal to tan theta is positive, which means that tan theta is greater than 0. Okay, which means that tan theta is greater than 0. For what values of tan theta between 0 and 180 do we have positive values? So let's say we know that here it's all positive for trigonometric coefficients. Here it is sine positive, here it is tan positive, here it is cos positive. Now we have to consider values from here to here, 0 to 180. So for what values between 0 to 180 will tan always give positive answers? Okay, so obviously this one will be the one. Okay, so therefore we can say theta lies between 0 to 90 degrees. The theta lies between 0 to 90 degrees. Okay, now let's say if we have the slope is negative. So what do we mean by slope being negative? Between 0 to 180, what values of theta for which tan will give us negative values? So obviously it will be here to here, because we know that this is a quadrant in which sine and cosec are positive. We know that this is a quadrant in which sine and cosec are positive. So if the slope is negative, then m is equal to tan theta is basically negative, which means that tan theta is less than 0. Okay, if tan theta is less than 0, it means that theta is between 90 to 180 degrees. Okay, all right. So we come to the third condition when the slope is 0. The slope is 0. The slope of a particular line is 0. We come to the third condition out here when the slope is 0. So in this case, m is equal to tan theta is equal to 0. Now for what value of an angle between 0 to 90 do we get its value of tan to be 0? So this obviously has to be theta is equal to 0. We know that tan 0 is equal to 0. So theta is equal to 0, which means that the line is making an angle of 0, which means the line is either the x axis itself or a line which is parallel to the x axis. Okay, so in this case we can say therefore the line is either x axis itself or parallel to the x axis. So it is either x axis itself or a line which is parallel to the x axis. Okay, are we clear on this one, people? You can take a snapshot and we will continue with this. Okay, so we will now talk about the slope of a line in terms of the coordinate axis. Okay, so we'll talk about slope of a line in terms of the coordinate axis of 2 points 2 points on it. So we are talking about slope of a line in terms of the coordinate axis of 2 points on it. So let's say we have here a line, okay, we have a line here, and let's say these are the axes, basically x, minus x, y and minus y, and let's say this is basically a line which is making an angle of theta. This angle is basically theta, and we take any 2 points on it. So let's say we take a point P, we take a point P here, and we take a point Q here, okay. Now let's say P has coordinate axis as x1, y1, and Q has coordinate axis as x2, y2, okay. All right, so now we have to calculate this theta. Now if I basically drop a perpendicular here, and if I simultaneously drop a perpendicular here, similarly I drop a perpendicular here, and I drop a perpendicular here, let's say this perpendicular is extended to this point. So we have here, let's say let's let this P, Q and R, and let's name this as L and M, and let's say this is N and this is O, okay. So these are just points out here, okay. Now if this angle is theta, very obviously this angle will also be theta by corresponding angles, okay. So if this is theta, then also this will be theta. Now we have to calculate the slope of this line. So we know that slope of the line will be equal to M, will be equal to tan of theta. Now if we look at this triangle, if we look at PQR, obviously in triangle PQR, tan theta is going to be QR by PR, okay. This tan theta will be QR by PR. Now let's calculate QR. So we know that if we are plotting like this, so this is y2, so this coordinate will be what, y2, or let's look at this, how much will be QR. We know that the entire QM, this entire QM is y2, okay, and up till this point it is y1. So we know that this is y1. So obviously QR will be how much, this y2 minus y1. So this will be y2 minus y1. Similarly, we know that till here it is x2. We know that till here it is x2, and from here to here this will be, see, till here it is x2, and from here to here it is x1. We know from, see, the coordinate itself suggests, right, Q2 has coordinate x2, so obviously this will be x2 from here to here, and from here to here, since P has x1, so this will be x1, okay. So now if we were to calculate QR, what will be QR as we see? So in this case, see, if we have to calculate PR will be what, x2 minus x1. So if we calculate PR, this will be x2, this will be x2 minus x1, very obvious, okay. So tan theta is equal to QR, that is y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. So this is, so for any 2 points which have coordinates x1 y1 and x2 y2, and they belong to a line, so we can say that we can find out the slope of this line as tan theta, which will be equal to the difference between their y coordinates upon the difference between their x coordinates. Now is there a particular criteria of always writing it this way? We can also write it the other way, but we have to ensure that the subtraction mode is unidirectional, which means that if we have placed y1 first, y2 should be placed next. If we have placed x1 first, then x2 should be placed next. If we have placed y2 first, then y1, and then simultaneously x2 should be placed first and then x1, okay. So let's say it's a very common thing that we have already studied in the previous standards. In NCERT there is a question, basically a very easy question to be solved, basically is find the slope of a line that has coordinates 3, 2, and minus 1 and 5. We have to find the slope of a line which has coordinates 3, 2 and minus 1 and 5. So let's kind of frame this out. So we have here 3, 2, okay. So now tan theta, slope of the line, tan theta will be equal to y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. So this will be y2, that is 5 minus 2, and x2 minus x1, that is minus 1 minus 1 minus 3, 5 minus 2 minus 1 minus 3. So this will be 3 by minus 4. So tan theta, okay, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, 5 minus 2, and we have minus 1 minus 3. So this will be minus 3 by 4. So theta will be tan inverse of 3 by 4, minus 3 by 4. Okay. So this can be calculated as, see, we know that this will be minus tan, just one moment here. So this will be tan inverse of minus 0.75. Okay. This is something that we have to look up into the book. Okay. We have to refer to the log table to find this out. So I hope this is pretty much clear, not a very difficult concept to understand and comprehend as well. Still, if you have any questions, feel free to post it in the comment section. Alright, so now we will deal with the angle between two lines. Okay. So let's say we have here angle between two lines. So we will deal with angle between two lines out here. So let's say this is basically the x-axis, positive x-axis, and here we have the y-axis. This is the minus x-axis, and we have two lines here. Okay. There might be any equations of these lines. Okay. Now let's say, obviously, when we consider the slope of this line, so the slope will be, let's say, theta 1, and this angle is, let's say, theta 2. Okay. So these are two lines with the positive direction of x-axis. One line is making an angle of theta 1. With the positive direction of x-axis, the other line is making an angle of theta 2. Okay. So now obviously between these two, the angle will be theta. Okay. So if this is the line between theta, now there is another angle which is there. Okay. So we will consider this later. So there are two angles which are formed. Obviously one of them will be an acute angle, the other one will be obtuse angle. So let's calculate this here. So for line 1, let's say for line 1, which is basically this, and this is line 2. Okay. So we have the slope is equal to tan theta 1, and for line 2 the slope m is equal to tan theta 2. Okay. Now in this case, if we look at it, this theta 1, so look at it very closely, this theta 1 will be equal to theta plus theta 2. Why? The exterior angle of a triangle, this is basically the exterior angle of the triangle. Exterior angle of a triangle is sum of two interior opposite angles. So the exterior angle of a triangle is the sum of two interior opposite angles. We know this exterior angle theorem. Okay. So we have theta 1 is equal to theta 2 plus theta 2. Now if we happen to get this theta here, so this will be theta 1 plus theta 2. So obviously we can say that taking tan on both sides, okay, this is taking tan on both sides. So this will be tan theta will be equal to tan theta 1 plus theta 2. Now we know that tan A plus tan B, if we do tan A plus B, this will be equal to tan A plus tan B upon 1 minus tan A tan B. Now we already know what is theta 1. So this will be tan, if we say tan theta 1 plus theta 2, this will be equal to tan theta 1 plus tan theta 2 upon 1 minus tan theta 1 to tan theta 2. Okay. So what do we have as tan theta 1? We have it as, let's say, m1 and this is m2. Let's say this is m1 and this is m2. The slope of this line is m1 and the slope of this line is m2. So we have here m1 plus m2 upon 1 minus m1 m2, and this is equal to what? This is equal to obviously tan theta, this is equal to tan theta. So tan theta tan theta is equal to this. So, therefore, theta will be equal to tan inverse of m1 plus m2 upon 1 minus m1 m2. Okay. Is this all? No. See, when we are talking about the angle that is there between two lines, obviously this happens to be one angle. This happens to be one angle. But what about this? This also is an angle. And if we look at this, the other angle that is there will be equal to what? 180. 180 minus theta. The value of this angle will be pi minus theta. 180 minus theta, basically supplementary angles. Okay. So, in this case, what will happen? Tan, this is see, tan 180 minus theta. Tan 180 minus theta is what? We know that this falls in which quadrant? This quadrant, tan 180 minus theta, and here it is only sine and cosec which are positive. So, obviously tan will be negative. So, this will be minus tan theta. Okay. And if this happens to be minus tan theta, so this will be minus, again we have calculated the value of tan theta as m1 plus m2, 1 minus m1 m2. So, we will just substitute the value here, m1 plus m2 upon 1 minus m1 m2. Okay. So, we are again, so here if we calculate pi minus theta, this will be tan inverse of minus m1 plus m2 upon 1 minus m1 m2. So, we are getting both positive. See, this is a positive value, and here we are getting a negative value here. We are getting a negative value. So, if we combine these two equations, which will basically be combining both of them. So, therefore, what will be the value of the angle? The angle can be represented as plus minus tan inverse of m1 plus m2 upon 1 minus m1 m2. So, this will be the angle which is there between two lines. If we happen to know the slope of the two lines which are intersecting, this will be the value of it. Okay. Now, let us say if two lines are perpendicular to each other, what will happen? If the two lines are perpendicular to each other, let me rub the board a little. So, the two lines are perpendicular to each other. If the two lines are perpendicular to each other, what will we have here? We will have here as tan theta is equal to m1 plus m2 upon 1 minus m1 m2, that is plus minus. So, if the two lines are perpendicular to each other, then what will happen? Tan theta, tan 90, we know it is infinity. Okay. Tan 90 one second here. In that case, see, if they are perpendicular to each other, so if this is basically 90, then we can say that theta, this theta is equal to, or rather if we go by this way, theta 1 will be equal to theta 2 plus theta, again applying the same, exterior angle of a triangle is sum of two interior opposite angles, or we can say this is basically what, 90, theta 2 plus 90, or we can say theta 2 is equal to 90 minus theta 1. So, we can say that tan theta 2 is equal to tan, if we take tan on both sides, so this will be tan, and what is tan 90 minus theta? It is equal to cot theta. Tan theta 2 will be equal to tan 90 minus theta, which is basically equal to cot theta 2. Okay, let me just check this out. Tan theta 1, I am maybe going wrong here. Theta 1 is equal to theta plus theta 2, okay, and theta is 90. So, if we happen to get this 90, okay, let's go ahead in this way. So, theta 1 is equal to theta 2 plus 90. So, tan theta 1 will be equal to tan of 90 plus theta 2. Okay. Now, 90 plus theta 2 comes basically in this quadrant wherein sine is positive. So, here we have tan theta 1 and tan 90 plus theta. Tan 90 plus theta we all know is what? We all know tan 90 plus theta is equal to minus cot theta. So, here we have minus cot theta 2. Okay. So, in this case we can say that tan theta 1, if we bring this here, upon cot theta 2 is equal to, we leave this minus 1 here, tan theta 1 upon cot theta 2 is equal to minus 1. So, this will represent what? This tan theta 1 upon cot theta 2 can be written as tan theta 2 is equal to minus 1. Now, we all know at the start we had seen that m1 is basically the slope. So, m1 is tan theta 1 and m2 is tan theta 2. So, here we have m1 into m2 is equal to minus 1. So, this is the case when both the lines are perpendicular to each other. So, if both the lines are perpendicular to each other, then the product of their slopes is equal to minus 1. So, product of their slopes is equal to minus 1 if both the lines are perpendicular to each other. Okay. Now, we will take the case when both the lines are parallel to each other. So, let us take that case here as well. Now, if both the lines are parallel to each other, then what will happen? Okay. So, if both the lines are parallel to each other, obviously the angle between them, this theta, will be equal to 0. Okay. So, this will be 0. So, obviously if we have here tan theta will be equal to tan of 0, which means 0, and we know tan theta is equal to what? m1 plus m2 upon 1 minus m1 m2. We take it as plus minus, this will be equal to 0. So, obviously plus minus gets cancelled here. So, m1 plus m2, if we multiply this entire thing, this will be 0. Okay. So, m1 plus m2 is equal to 0. In that case, what will happen? m1 will be I'm sorry, this is m1 minus m2 upon 1 plus m1 m2. Okay. So, in this case m1 minus m2 is equal to 0. So, m1 is equal to m2. So, we can say that if two lines are parallel to each other, then the slopes are, their slopes are equal. Okay. So, if two lines have their slopes as m1 and m2, then the two lines are parallel to each other, and if the product of their slopes is equal to minus 1, this will be a condition of parallel lines and this will be a condition of perpendicular lines. I hope this is a very simple concept to understand and comprehend. Still, if you find any difficulties, please feel free to ask for the same and we will post it once again. So, here we have a question from NCERT basically, and this question is taken from NC. Okay. So, without using the Pythagoras theorem, show that A, B and C, whose coordinates are given, are the vertices of a right angle triangle. Now, what do you mean by a right angle triangle? Obviously, when we prove it by Pythagoras theorem, we prove it that the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the square of the remaining two sides, sum of the squares of the remaining two sides. So, without using this theorem, we have to prove this. How do we prove this? So, let us say we take AB. Now, let us say what will be slope of AB? Slope of AB. So, this will be y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. Let us calculate all the slopes out here. Okay. So, what do we do? 5 minus 4 upon 3 minus 4. So, that gives you how much? 1 upon minus 1. So, that will be minus 1. Now, slope of BC, this will be y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. Slope of BC will be minus 1 minus 5, minus 1 minus 1 minus 3. So, this is going to be how much? Minus 6 by minus 4. So, that will be equal to 3 by 2. We do not see any things out here which will click. Okay. So let's say slope of AC. Now let's say slope of AC. So what will this be? Again, y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. Slope of AC minus 1 minus 4, minus 1 minus 4, and minus 1 minus 4, minus 1 minus 4. So this will be minus 5 by minus 5, that is 1. Okay. So if you look into this, slope of AB and slope of AC. Okay, slope of AB into slope of AC. Take any two sides. Okay, this will be equal to what? Minus 1 into 1, that will be minus 1. And we know that if M1, M2 is equal to minus 1, then the slopes are perpendicular. So we can say that therefore AB and AC are perpendicular to each other. And if AB and AC are perpendicular to each other, therefore triangle ABC is a right angled triangle. Triangle ABC will be a right angled triangle. We can say that AB is perpendicular to AC. So it will be like this, AB and C. AB is perpendicular to AC, so therefore angle A is equal to pi by 2 or 90 degree. Okay. So this basically proves, and we are proving it by using the theorem of M1 M2 is equal to minus 1. M1 M2 is equal to minus 1, hence it is a line which is perpendicular. Okay, so here we have another question. A quadrilateral has the vertices at the points. These are basically the vertices of the points of a quadrilateral. Minus 4, 2, 2, 6, 8, 5, 9 and minus 7. So these are the 4 points. Show that the midpoints of the sides of this quadrilateral are the vertices of a parallelogram. Try it out. If not, then I will do it. Okay, so let's do it. So now we will have to calculate the midpoint. So whenever we calculate the midpoint, applying the midpoint theorem, oh my god, this marker is not working. So midpoint theorem, midpoint of, let's say we name this quadrilateral as A, B, C and D. Midpoint of AB, how will we calculate this? We know that midpoint is x1 plus x2 by 2, y1 plus y2 by 2, the coordinates of the midpoint. So midpoint of AB, what will be the coordinates here? 2 minus 4, that is 2 minus 4 by 2, 2 minus 4 by 2 and 6 plus 2 by 2. So that will be minus 2 by 2, that is minus 1, 6 plus 2, 8, this will be 4. So midpoint of AB is minus 1, 4. Let's say we call this as P. So midpoint of AB, we'll call it as P. Okay, then we have midpoint of BC. What will this be? Again 8 plus 2 by 2 and 5 plus 6 by 2. So that's going to be how much? 8 plus 2 by 10 by 2, that is 5, and this is 11 by 2. So AB, and then we have BC. So let's say we call it as Q. Okay. Similarly, midpoint of let's say CD, that will be how much? 9 plus 8 by 2 and minus 7 plus 5 by 2. So that's going to be 17 by 2 minus 2 by 2, that is minus 1. So we have here midpoint of CD, that is, let's say R is equal to this. In the same way we have midpoint of we have CD. So the quadrilateral looks like this: A, B, C, D, A, B, C and D. Okay. So we have for AB P, which has got P is equal to minus 1, 4, Q, which is basically for BC, and this has got 5 and 11 by 2. Then we have midpoint of CD as R, which is basically 17 by 2 and minus 1. Then we have AD, midpoint of AD, let's calculate this. Midpoint of AD, let's say we call this as S. So this will be how much? AD. So this is 9 minus 4, that is minus, this will be 9 So we have here 9 plus minus 4 by 2, and we have here minus 7 plus 2 by 2. So that's going to be 9 minus 4, that is 5 by 2, and this will be minus 5 by 2. So this will be S. Okay. So this is going to be 5 by 2 and minus 5 by 2. Okay. So now if we happen to join all these P, Q, R and S, we have to prove that this is a parallelogram. How will we prove this? The vertices of a parallelogram. Now in order to prove a parallelogram, what can we do? PQ is parallel to RS and PQ is equal to RS, right? If we happen to prove that two sides of a quadrilateral are parallel to each other and they are equal to each other, that will be a sufficient condition to prove that PQRS is a parallelogram. So let's first find it out. So PQ, if we happen to join PQ, see this is P and this is Q. If we happen to join PQ, so what will be slope of PQ? Slope of PQ will be, this is Q, y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. So let's look at this. Y2 is 5 minus minus 1, and x2 is 11 by 2 minus 4. Okay, so what do we get here? 5 plus 1, that is 6. 11 by 2 minus 4, that is 11 minus 8, that is 3 by 2, right? See, 5 minus minus 1, that gives you 6. 11 by 2 minus 4, so that will be 11 minus 8, that is 3 by 2. So here 3 2s are 6 and this 2 goes up, so this is 4. This is basically 4. Okay. In the same way, slope of, so PQ, let's say slope of RS, what do we get? Y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. So slope of RS, there is 17 by 2 R minus that of S, minus or rather RS. So let's this 5 by 2 minus 17 by 2 upon minus 5 by 2 and this is minus 1. So what do we have here? 5 minus 17, that will be minus 12 upon 5 minus 5 minus 2, that will be minus 7 by 2. Slope of RS. Slope of RS, slope of RS. We are going somewhere wrong. 17, midpoint of CD. Let's calculate here. We are going wrong here. We have to select y2 minus y1. So in this case y2 is minus 5 by 2. I am so sorry. Minus 5 by 2 minus 1 upon x2, that is 5 by 2 minus 17 by 2. So this will be how much? 5 by 2 minus 5 by 2 plus 1 upon 5 minus 17. So that will be minus 12 by 2. Correct? Okay. So we have here minus 5 minus 3 by 2 by minus 6. So again this gets cancelled. 3 2 the 6. So this will be 1 by 4. I guess we have made a mistake here as well. Slope of PQ. PQ. We have made a mistake here as well. I am so sorry. Okay, PQ. So here we will have 11 by 2 minus 4 upon 5 minus 1. So this will be 11 minus 8, that is 3 by 2 upon 5 plus 1, that is 6. So this will be 3 1s are 3, 3 2s are 6. So this will be 1 by 4. So now look at it. Slope of PQ is slope of RS. So therefore slope of PQ will be equal to slope of RS. Slope of RS. So therefore we can say that PQ is parallel to RS. Now all we have to prove is PQ is equal to RS. So in that case we will just apply the distance formula. So we have already found out the coordinates here. S is basically what? S is 5 by 2 and minus 5 by 2. Okay, we have already done this. Okay, so now we have to apply the distance formula here. So we have already proved the slope part wherein PQ is parallel to RS. We will just have to apply the distance formula here. Okay, so PQ, this will be equal to, if we apply distance formula, this will be x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. So let's do this here. X2 for P, for Q it is 5 minus 1 square plus 11 by 2 minus 4 square. So this will be how much? 5 plus 1, that is 6 square, 11 by 2 minus 4, that is 11 by 2 minus 4, 4 2 is 8, that will be 3 by 2 square. So this is going to be 36 plus 9 by 4, 36 plus 9 by 4, that's going to be how much? So this is going to be 6 4s are 24, 3 4s are 12, 13, 14, 144 plus 9. So this will be 153 by 4. So that's going to be how much? Under root 153 by 2. That's PQ. Let's calculate RS here. RS, this will be again x2 minus, so this will be 17 by 2 minus 5 square plus minus 1 minus 11 by 2 square. So 17 by 2, that's basically 10. 17 minus 10 leaves us with 7 by 2 square. 17 by 2 minus 5. I am going wrong. RS. So this will be 17 by 2. RS, this is S basically. 17 by 2 minus 5 by 2 square plus minus 1 minus 5 by 2 square. So let's calculate this. 17 minus 5, that will be 12 by 2 square plus, here we have 5 by 2, 1 plus 5 by 2, this will become 1 plus 5 by 2. So 5 minus 2, that is 3 by 2 square. Okay, so we have here 144 by 4 plus 9 by 4, this will give us how much? 153 by 4, that's 153 under root upon 2. Okay, so this is basically RS and this is PQ. PQ we have already calculated as 153 by 2. So we can see that PQ is equal to RS as both are equal to 153 by 2. Okay, so we have already proved PQ is parallel to RS by their slopes, and by distance formula we have proved that BQ is equal to RS. So therefore PQRS, therefore we can say quadrilateral PQRS is a parallelogram. Why? If a pair of opposite sides of a quadrilateral are equal and parallel, then it's a parallelogram. If a pair of opposite sides of a quadrilateral equal and parallel, then it's a parallelogram. In the same way we can prove this entire thing. You can take a snapshot of it. Okay, so the next question that we will be taking here is basically from NCERT. It states that if the angle between two lines is pi by 4 and the slope of one of the lines is 1 by 2, find the slope of the other line. So we have seen that the angle between two lines is given as m2 minus m1 upon 1 plus m1 m2. Now this is in the mod value. Okay, so here we have the angle between the two lines is tan pi by 4. This is equal to m2 minus m1. So one of them is, the slope of the lines is 1 by 2. So we can say here m2 minus 1 by 2 upon 1 plus m2 into 1 by 2. Okay, so tan pi by 4 obviously is 1, and this will be, so if we happen to remove the mod, we will get plus minus values, right? m2 minus half, so that will be equal to how much? 2m2 minus 1 by 2, and this will be 1 plus m2 by half. So this will be 2 plus m2 by 2. This will be 2 plus m2 by 2. So this 2 and 2 will get cancelled. Here we have 1 is equal to plus minus, that will be 2m minus 1 upon 2 plus m2. Okay. So now if we happen to take two values, taking positive values on RHS. If we take positive value on RHS, what would we get? So here we have 1 is equal to 2m minus 1 upon 2 plus m2. So that would mean 2 plus m2 is equal to 2m2 minus 1. So if we bring this here, this becomes m2, and if we bring transpose this here, this becomes 3. So m2 is equal to 3. Okay. And if we happen to take the negative values, taking negative value on RHS. So what do we have here? 1 is equal to minus 2m2 minus 1, minus 2m2 minus 1 upon 2 plus m2. So this will be how much? 2 plus m2 is equal to minus 2m2 plus 1. Obviously this minus gets cancelled. So where we have, here we have 2 minus 1, that is 1, is equal to minus 2m2 minus m2. So this will be minus 3m2. So m2 here will be equal to minus 1 by 3. So that's how we will find out the value. So m2 has two values, one is 3 and the other one is minus 1 by 3. Okay, so taking up another question, this is also from NCERT. If the points P, that is HK, Q, x1, y1 and R, x2, y2 lie on a line, show that h minus x1 into y2 minus y1 is equal to k minus y1 into x2 minus x1. So let's take this up here. So these points are basically what? So therefore we can say P, Q and R are collinear. Now collinear means that they will be all in a straight line. So we can say that slope of PQ should be equal to slope of QR. The slope of PQ, that means y2 minus y1. So this y1 minus k, y1 minus k upon x1 minus h, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So this should be equal to this y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. Okay. Slope of this, since these are collinear, so obviously collinear or parallels will have the same. Collinear or parallel lines will obviously have the same slope, So we have here y2 minus y1 into, so this will be h. So in this case, see, in this case we have it like this way. So can we basically take minus common here, k minus y1, because we are seeing this here, k minus y1, h minus x1, we have taken minus common from both the sides. So this will be y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So this gets cancelled and hence we will have y2 minus y1, h minus x1 into y2 minus y1 is equal to k minus y1 into x2 minus x1, and that is basically a hence proof case. Okay. So this is how we can prove that the two lines are collinear to each other. Another question basically which is from NCERT, and it states that in the figure time and distance graph. So basically we have plotted time along the x-axis and distance we have plotted along the y-axis. In the figure, the time and distance graph of linear motion is given. A particle is basically, or a body is performing linear motion, and the time and distance graph are given, are recorded when t is equal to 0, d is equal to 2. So let's say when t is equal to 0, d is equal to 2, this is represented by point A, and when t is equal to 3, so let's say when t is equal to 3, d is equal to 8. So that's how it is represented. Okay. using the concept of slope, find the law of motion, that is how distance depends upon time in this case. So what we will do is we will take an arbitrary point, let us say P, and mark its coordinates as T and D. The relationship that we will calculate using the slope concept between T and D will actually be the required condition that is required to be found out in the problem. Okay. So let us take an arbitrary point. Let there be a point P which has coordinates T and D on the line. Let there be a point TD on the line. So what do we have here? Slope of line BA, slope of line BA is equal to slope of line PB is equal to slope of line PB. The slope of line BA, what would that be? Why? Because the lines are obviously collinear. So since the lines are collinear, we can say the slope of line BA will be equal to the slope of line PB. Okay, so slope of line BA, what will this be? BA will be y2 minus y1, that is 8 minus 2 by 3 minus 0, x2 minus x1. Slope of line PB, D minus 8 will be equal to T minus 3. So what do we have here? 8 minus 2, that is 6, 3 minus 0, that is 3, D minus 8, T minus 3. So this will be 3 2s are 6. So this will be 2 into T minus 3. 2 into T minus 3 is equal to D minus 8. So that will be how much? 2T minus 6 is equal to D minus 8. Okay. So 2T minus 6 is equal to D minus 8. That will be how much? Let's say minus 8 plus 6. That gives you minus 2. This will be 2T minus D, or we can say D minus 2T. D minus 2T is equal to 2. So this will be the relationship that we have between the two things. Okay. So D minus 2T will be equal to 2. This is the relationship that we need to derive. Okay, so we have another question out here which states that prove that the diagonals of a rhombus are at right angles to each other. Prove that the diagonals of a rhombus are at right angles to each other. Okay, so let's take this. Let's take the y-axis here. Let's take the x-axis here. So we are taking the y-axis here and the x-axis. I'm sorry, it's not a straight line. This is basically the x-axis, and let's draw a rhombus here. So let's say this is a rhombus. Okay, so the rhombus is drawn in such a way, okay, O, A, B and C. Let O, A, B and C be a rhombus of side A. Okay, so let's say this is side A, this is side A. Obviously all the sides will be A only, because in rhombus all sides are equal. And let's say drop a perpendicular from this one to here and from this one to here. So let's say this is CX and CBY. Okay, so we have here CX and BY are perpendiculars from C and B to X axis. Okay, so OABC be a rhombus of side A. CX and BY are perpendiculars from C and B to the X axis. Okay, so what do we have here? This is basically a rhombus, and let's say CX and BY. Let's suppose CX is equal to BY obviously, and this will be equal to B. Okay, so let's say this is our side B. Okay, so now in this one, and let's say this OX, let OX is equal to C. So what do we have here? This OX is equal to C. Obviously, if we look at these two triangles, in triangles OXC and AYB and AYB, OXC and AYB. Very closely, if we look at these two triangles, see there is a right angle, there is a side, and this right angle hypotenuse side. Okay, so there we have triangle OXC is congruent to triangle AYB by RHS. OXC will be congruent to triangle AYB by RHS, right angle hypotenuse side. So obviously this one will also be C. This one will also be C. Okay. So now what will be the coordinates of X? See, here it is A, and here let's say this is A. So obviously this portion OA will be A. So this portion is A. Okay, we have this portion as A, and here we have C. So what will be the coordinates of B? So look at this very closely. The coordinates of B will be, till here we have A for x axis and we are adding C. So this will be A plus C. And what will be the y coordinate? Obviously this height is B. So B will have coordinates as B. Look at the coordinates of C. Till here we have C. So the x coordinate will be obviously C. What will be the y coordinate? B. Okay, so we can say that the coordinates, therefore the coordinates of B and C are, B will be A plus C B and C B respectively. These will be the coordinates. The coordinates of B and C are A plus C B and C B respectively. Okay. So now we have to prove that the diagonals of a rhombus are at right angles to each other. So the first thing that we can prove, see in triangle, if we see in triangle OXC, obviously this OC square will be equal to CX square plus OX square by Pythagoras theorem. So what is OC square? OC square is nothing but A square, or we can say OC square is nothing but A square, right? A square is equal to, what is this? This is obviously CX square. CX square will be B square plus OX square is how much? OX square is C square. So let this be equation number 1. So this is the relationship between A, B and C. Okay. So the coordinates of points B and C are these. Okay. So now let's look at slope of line OB. So MAB will be equal to how much? Y2 minus Y1. Obviously O has coordinates 0 and 0 because it's the origin. Okay. So yeah, let's say we will say that O is the origin. That is 0 0. So we have taken a rhombus OABC such that O is the origin. Okay. So now what will be M of AB? Slope of AB, this will be B2, that is Y2 minus Y1 B minus 0 upon A plus C minus 0. So that gives you B upon A plus C. This will be slope of AB. Okay. In the same way, what will be slope of AC? Slope of AC, this will be MAC, that will be equal to, so what are the coordinates of A basically? See, here it is A and 0. Coordinates of A will be A and 0. So AC, which means B minus 0 upon C minus A. So slope of AC is B by C minus A. Okay, and slope of AB is equal to B A plus C. Now if these two happen to be perpendicular to each other, then let's say slope of AB into slope of AC, this will be B by A plus C into b by, we can write this as c plus a as well, right? C plus a. B by c plus a is equal to b by c minus a. So this will give you b square by c square minus a square. So m of ab into m of ac, this will be equal to b square by c square minus a square. Now let's come back to this one. What do we have from here? A square is equal to b square plus c square. So obviously if we have c square minus a square, this b square gets transposed here as minus b square. So if we substitute is, so substituting from equation 1, what do we have here? B square upon minus b square, that is equal to minus 1. See, if the product of slopes of two lines gives you minus 1, so the lines are perpendicular to each other. So therefore we can say that AB is perpendicular to why am I writing this? Slope of AB, I have goofed up somewhere. Slope of OB, I am so sorry, this should be written as OB. I am extremely sorry. Okay. So we have here OB into AC. Okay, so we have OB is perpendicular to AC. That's what we can write. Okay, since m1 m2 is equal to minus 1 for perpendicular lines. Okay, so that's what we have proved here, and that's what solves the problem. Okay, so we have here the problem, prove that the medians of an equilateral triangle are perpendicular to their corresponding sides. So how will we do this? So let's say we have the x-axis base, the y-axis here, the x-axis here. Okay, this is basically the y-axis. We place an equilateral triangle in such a way that the median, this is basically A, B and C. So let there be an equilateral triangle ABC of side 2A, such that midpoint of BC is the origin. Midpoint of BC is the origin O, that is 0, 0. So let's say this is 0, 0. So since this is 2A, obviously, so therefore coordinates of C, this will be how much? A 0 and coordinates of B, this will be equal to minus A and 0. So obviously this will be minus A and 0. Okay, let's say for coordinates of A, so let coordinates of A equal to alpha beta. Let this say these are the coordinates of A, that is alpha and beta. Okay, so in this case what do we have? And let's say we draw a perpendicular here, we draw a basically midpoint. Let's say this is D, the median, and let's say this is E, the median drawn here. So AD, or rather BD and CE are the medians. Now obviously AO is also the median. Okay, so AO is also the median. Now we know that this is an equilateral triangle. So if it is an equilateral triangle, obviously the sides are equal to each other. So we can say that AB is equal to BC is equal to AB is equal to BC is equal to AC. So obviously AB square will be equal to AC square, or rather BC square will be equal to AC square. Now let's pick up this AB and AC. So let's pick up these two. So if we have AB square is equal to AC square, so by distance formula By distance formula we know that what will be AB, the value of AB will be alpha minus A square, alpha minus A square plus beta minus 0 square. AC square, what will this be? Alpha, now obviously the coordinates of C will be A and 0, plus A and 0. Since this is minus A and 0, this will be plus A and 0. So alpha, we can say that A minus alpha square, A minus alpha square and 0 minus beta square. So AB square will be, or we can take it in this way, let's say AB square. So here we have minus A minus alpha this square plus 0 minus beta this square is equal to AC square. So A minus alpha square plus 0 minus beta square. So what does this give us? Obviously this minus can be taken as common. So this will be A square plus alpha square plus 2A alpha plus beta square will be equal to A square plus alpha square minus 2A alpha plus beta square. So this A square gets cancelled with this alpha square gets cancelled with this beta square gets cancelled with this. So if we transpose the term here, this becomes 4A alpha is equal to 0. Now obviously A is not 0, so therefore alpha is 0. So we get one of the coordinates as 0. So we can write this as 0. Okay. Now how do we calculate beta? So let's say in this triangle which is AOC, okay, in triangle AOC, in triangle AOC we can say, see we don't yet know the coordinates of A and B. So in triangle AOC we can say that AC square will be equal to AO square plus OC square, AO square plus OC square. Okay, okay. So let's do this here. AC square will be how much? A minus alpha square. This one the same thing. So this will be A minus alpha whole square plus beta square. This will be AC square. What will be AO square? So 0 minus alpha square plus 0 minus beta square, 0 minus beta square plus what will be OC square? OC square will be A minus 0 square plus 0 minus 0 square. Okay, this will be 0 minus, I suppose, okay, it is visible. Okay, so what do we have here? A minus alpha square. A minus alpha square, we know that alpha has been proved as 0. So we can write this as A square. This particular term can be written as A square plus beta square is equal to 0 minus alpha square. We have already proved that alpha is 0. So this will be 0. 0 minus beta square, we can prove that this is 0 minus beta will be minus beta square will be beta square plus A square, and this is of course 0. Okay, so what do we have here? 2 betas. Is beta getting cancelled here? Oh. We are going wrong somewhere. A minus alpha square, so that will be A square. AC square. AC square will be A minus alpha square plus 0 minus AC square will be equal to A minus alpha square 0 minus beta square. So that will be alpha square plus 0 minus beta square. Okay, this will be 0 minus alpha square plus 0 minus beta square, that is AO square, and OC square will be A minus 0 square plus 0 square. So this will be A minus alpha square, that's going to be how much? Minus alpha square. So that's going to be, oh, this is alpha, I am so sorry, this is alpha, A minus alpha, so this will be A square. Yes, it will be A square plus beta square will be equal to minus alpha, so this will be 0 minus beta square. Oh, what are we getting here? Something is going wrong here, let me check here. Okay, let's take it this way. Let's take it this way. Without taking coordinates, we can say that AC square, obviously AC is how much? 2A whole square. AO square will be how much? This will be so obviously this entire line is how much? 0 minus alpha square plus 0 minus beta square plus OC square. OC square will be obviously A square. So this is going to give us, yes, this can be correct. So this is 4A square is equal to alpha square. 4A square will be equal to alpha square plus beta square plus A square. Now obviously alpha is 0. So here we have beta square and this A square goes this side. So this will be 3A square. So beta is equal to under root 3A. Beta is equal to under root 3A. So what do we have here? Under root 3A and 0 as the coordinates of A. Now since we can say that since the coordinates of A are 0 and under root 3A, so therefore we can say that therefore A lies on y axis. So therefore OA is perpendicular to BC, as y axis is obviously perpendicular to x. So OA is perpendicular to BC. This is something that we prove. Okay. So now let's come to these medians. Okay, one median is proved that it is, you know, perpendicular to this. So let's say we come to this median. Obviously D is the midpoint of AC. So what will be the coordinates of D? Here it will be A plus 0 by 2, that is A by 2. Okay, A plus 0 by 2, and the other one will be 0 plus 3A by 2. So that will be under root 3A by 2. See, A plus 0 by 2 and this will be 0 plus under root 3A by 2, midpoint formula. Again the coordinates of E, what will be the coordinates of E? 0 minus A by 2. So this will be minus A by 2. Okay, 0 minus A by 2, root 3 plus 0 by 2. So this will be root 3 by 2A. So this will be the coordinates of B and D. Okay, so let's find the coordinates of B and D. So we have found the coordinates of B and D. So slope of BD, what will this be? Slope of BD into, let's say, slope of AC. Slope of AC. So this will be y2 minus y1. BD means y2, that is under root 3A by 2 minus 0. So this will be under root 3A by 2. Under y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. A by 2 minus minus A. So that will be 3A by 2. Okay, into slope of AC. Let's look at the slope of AC. Slope of BD, slope of AC. So this will be y2 minus y1, that is 0 minus 3A. So this will be minus under root 3A, and this will be A minus 0. So this will be A. Okay, so what do we get here? This 2 and 2 gets cancelled, A and A gets cancelled, again this A and A gets cancelled. So we have under root 3 by 3. So that will be 1 by under root 3 into minus under root 3. So this will be minus 1. Now since the product of two slopes is minus 1, so we can say that BD is perpendicular to AC. This will be, let's say, equation number 2. Okay. So in the same way we can say, let's say, slope of CE. So slope of CE into slope of AB. Slope of AB. Slope of CE minus slope of AB. So slope of CE will be how much? 0 minus under root 3A by 2. So this will be minus under root 3A by 2. Y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, A minus under root 3A by 2. 0 minus 3A by 2, A, sorry, this will be, I am so sorry. This is 0 minus under root 3A by 2. So this will be minus under root 3A by 2, and A minus minus A by 2. So that will be 3A by 2. Okay, slope of AB. Slope of AB will be under root 3A minus under root 3A minus 0. So this will be under root 3a upon 0 minus minus a. So this will be a. So this gets cancelled with this gets cancelled, this gets cancelled. So minus 1 by under root 3, under root 3 by 3 which will be into under root 3. So this will be minus. Okay. So slope of these two lines is minus. So we can say that CE is perpendicular to AB. CE is perpendicular to AB. Okay. So we have proved that this is perpendicular to AB, this is perpendicular, and so all these medians. So hence this proves that the medians of an equilateral triangle are perpendicular to their corresponding sides.